Hello guys, today I'm going to tell you about a tool called Performance and Trend Builder by Zcodesystem.com. This tool is designed to build highly profitable and highly efficient trends for sport investment. Let me tell you how it works and how it was created. Zlab has spent more than 3 years developing Trend Builder. We've implemented there all the achievements of our earlier sports investing systems. We put into this tool skills and best practices of a large number of experts and users of our systems accumulated since 1999. Moreover, we keep on constantly improving this tool, implementing new ideas of our experts and users, adding new sports and so on. Currently, Performance and Trend Builder is a pretty complex tool, which uses more than 300 different factors that can be combined together to build highly profitable trends. As already mentioned, the main purpose of this tool is to create winning systems for sport investing that can continuously generate profit for an extended period of time. Now, many experts and users of Zcode have one or several profitable systems. All these systems can be found as separate pages of the Zcode system. In the left column, you can see a list of such user systems. Now I'll show you the page of top performing Zcode systems. Here you can see the list of the most profitable systems created by our users. Note the profit graphs and the column showing the profit for the last 3 months and the total profit. Using Trend Builder, you too can create your own highly profitable system that will constantly generate money for you. Now, I'll show you how to create your own winning system. Let me start by describing the configuration of the tool. First, you see a set of options where you can select a sport to put in our backtest. Typically, one sport is selected. In some cases, several sports might be selected, but it's pretty unusual. Next, you see a list of options to select the number of games that will be in our resulting trend. You can select some last games, or choose the start and end dates of the trend. If the end date is not selected, the system takes the current date. Next, to control the output of the resulting games, you have the setting Show Actual Bets. Here, you can set to display either all the rows or some more compact data. For instance, only summary statistics, or only the data for one last week, or only the data that have not played yet, in other words, incomplete games. Here, you can set to show the incomplete games. By default, they're not displayed. Next, there are 2 filters, by day of week and a month. If, for example, one of our teams or leagues plays badly on some particular days or weeks or months, we can just exclude these days or months, and these games will be excluded from the resulting selection. Some sports may use different types of scores. By default, the final score at the end of the game is used. But for certain sports, you can also use either the regular time score or the score at the end of the first half. Anyway, before placing real bets, you need to consult with your bookie and check what types of scores for specific sports and bets he supports. Next, here you can choose the team based on which the trend will be built. By default, the trend is based on all the teams. Yeah, you can do it here. You can also select a league. Besides that, here is a set of settings that allow you to exclude specific teams from the selection, or exclude some specific opponents, or certain leagues. Pick Type is one of the main options, which tells what you are going to bet on in this game. By default, it's selected by recommendation. This means that the resulting set will include the games, which are recommended, according to the recommendations selected right here. For example, if you choose Strong Team Moneyline, the games that have this recommendation will be included into the resulting selection. In this case, the bet will be on a favorite on Moneyline. Current recommendations for the games can be viewed at the page picks. Here, you can choose the game. And here on the panel, Recommendation and Odds, you can find the current recommendations for the game. Or here, for example. Accordingly, if you select a recommendation for a weak team, an underdog, it'll be carried out and the bet will be on an underdog. Let's see the other possible options. Game winner picks. In this case, the bet will be on a favorite, and specifically on a favorite with a given number of stars. So-called stars are calculated by the Zcodesystem based on its own algorithms. You can also check these stars also on the page picks. Here, there is a game, and you can see that the underdog in this game has 1 star. And the favorite has 1.5 stars. You can set the number of stars here. The underdog value picks option will respectively bet on an underdog, according to the number of stars which the underdog has. Next setting is over-under picks. Here, the bet is on the total score, either higher or lower, also according to the number of stars for over and for under. Again, you can see the number of stars on the page picks, that's here. In this case, we have 2 stars. The more stars, the more likely that the bet wins. We can also bet on only over or only under, again based on the number of stars. Another type of betting is winner prediction. Zcodesystem calculates the percentage probability for every game that one or another team wins. In this case, the bet is on the team which has a high percentage. Again, you can see it on the same page picks. 37 and 63%. Next, there are modifiers. If you choose, for example, bet spread instead of money line, then you bet not on money line, but on spread, the standard spread. For MLB, this is plus minus 1.5. Bet tie instead of money line is a bet on the draw instead of money line, if this option is selected. Bet on a draw instead of betting on handicap on spread. Take real spread odds allows you to take the real odds from the system line reversals, which collects odds for each game for different types of bets. It works a bit slower, but the result is more accurate. Well, I've already explained about the stars. There are special stars for each type of bet, and the more of these stars, the higher is the chance that this particular bet wins. Another very important setting is money management. This setting is responsible for the progressions that control our bets. The meaning of the progression is the following. Under certain conditions, for instance, if a bet is lost, the next bet can be multiplied by a certain factor. This adjustment factor is set by the progression. Here you can see a large variety of progressions. In this case, it's a simple progression, 1, 2, 3. If you lose the first bet, say it was $10. The next time you bet $20. In other words, the initial bet is multiplied by 2. If the second bet loses, then we would multiply the initial bet by 3 and bet $30. This is to ensure that the current rate would cover the losses caused by the previous lost bets. Generally, the progressions help to make a not very profitable trend profitable. The main challenge here is to choose the right progression. In addition, the progressions might have different termination rules. Some progressions are executed till a victory. Some, such as soft, are carried out until the end. Some progressions run till a certain number of wins is achieved. Some, so-called up-down, first go up, then go down. There are a large number of options for predefined progressions in Trend Builder. Furthermore, each progression can be run in various ways. For instance, there might be the same progression for everything, or a progression for each team, or a progression for each recommendation, or a progression for each combination of a recommendation and a team. In other words, we've designed an extremely flexible system of progression, so you can optimize your progression to build a good trend. Next, there are two settings that control switching progressions. This setting limits switching between progressions to once a day. And this one limits switching progressions to, for instance, once every 2 hours. This helps to avoid erroneous switching between progressions if we use one progression for all teams or for all recommendations. In addition, there is a so-called global progression, which can be initiated if the low-level progressions do not generate profit. In other words, first a progression on the team is run, and then a global progression is superimposed on top of it to build an even better profit graph. That's another progression setting that allows you to use the global progression only for the teams from the top of the list, in this case, the top 5 in the power ranking. Next, we have a filter for the location of the team which we bet on. For instance, you can bet only on the team playing home or only on the touring team. Next, there are a set of filters for the team statuses. First, there is a filter for the Zcode statuses. Zcode statuses are calculated by Zcode based on its own algorithms. Current team statuses can be found, for example, on the power ranking page. That's the power ranking for MLB. This is a list of teams, and here is their current status. The status can range from burning hot to dead. Here we can select statuses for a favorite and statuses for an underdog. Next, there is a set of filters for the odd status, small, medium, large, for a favorite and an underdog. And this filter is for the numerical value of odds for a favorite and an underdog. There is also a handicap filter here. It's used for sports such as MBL, where the handicap can be of different size. Next, you'll see a set of options that are specific to MLB pitchers. That's the pitcher's ERA indicator for the current season, for all seasons, for the last 3 games, and the total ERA for all pitchers in the team. Well, that's all specific for MLB. Next comes the block of settings about tickets. Now, tickets are the real bets made by real people at real bookmakers. Here we can select different quantitative indicators for tickets. The next specific setting is the setting for NHL goalkeepers. Here too we can define the position of goalkeeper in the top list, as well as the SV indicator. The head-to-head delta filter allows us to specify the difference between the wins of the team we're betting on and those of its opponent. We can also invert the bet, that is, to bet on the opponent instead of the selected team. The setting called Prediction Percentage Value allows you to restrict your selection by the percentage value of the probability of winning, calculated by Zcodesystem. This value can be found at the page picks. Next comes the block of options that control generation of the coefficients. There are different options here for different sports or for different situations. Next comes the block of delta filters, status delta, power ranking delta, and standings delta. Here, for each indicator, we take the difference between the value of this indicator for one team and for another team. The setting Alternative Streaks allows to use for the home team the calculated values for the home team and to use for the touring team the values calculated specifically for the touring team. Next, we see the setting that allows you to automatically calculate the progression factors so that if your bet wins, it wins exactly $100. Next comes the setting that allows you to ignore duplicate bets if they appear. and 2 settings that control additional factors in the progression for the main bet and the additional bets. The next set of options concerns MLB sweep games. Now, what are sweep games? Well, those are the games where 2 teams meet in a series of 3 or 4 games, and one team wins all the games and completely trashes the other team. These options help you to handle this situation, so you can tell the tool whether to bet or not to bet on this situation. In some sports, such as NBA, there is an opportunity to bet not on the full standard spread, but on some part of it. The next 3 options allow you to bet on such a spread. Here, you can ignore the bets which have too much money on them. With the help of the next 2 options, you can skip several bets after a certain number of consecutive victories or defeats in a row. Sometimes it can be useful. Next comes an MLB-specific option that allows you to set specific progression factors if the first game in the series is lost. Then, with the help of the next option, you can specify at which market trend you want to make your bets. For instance, you can bet at any trend, or only in the case of a favorite trend, or only in the case of an underdog trend. You can view the current market trend with the help of a free Zcode tool called Favorite Underdog Market Oscillator. Here, you can select the desired sport and the time. Next, you see a graph showing the turning points at which the favorite trend becomes the underdog trend, and vice versa. Also, for some sports, such as soccer, the market trend is calculated not for all teams, but for leagues. Here you can choose the option to calculate the market trend for leagues. Next setting is called Team Stability. Here, you can limit your selection to only the most stable teams, which are in the top list, for instance, in the top 10 of the most stable teams. The current stability status of the teams can be checked with a free Zcode tool called Team Volatility Oscillator. Here are the 10 most stable teams and the 10 least stable teams. All this information can be used in the Trend Builder. Next we have a set of options, Don't Bet, which allows you not to bet if the game takes place in the first 2 weeks of the regular season, preseason, or in the playoffs. In addition, it is possible to ignore the signals that arrive less than a specific time before the start of a game. With the help of the next option, you can exclude from the selection the so-called Vegas trap alerts. Now, they're the situations when the public, the ordinary people, bet on one team while the line and the factors rise in the opposite direction. This is the so-called trap. You can view these traps at the page picks. Here, for example, there is a game. And here you can see the indicator of the Vegas trap alert. With the next option, you can exclude the most popular games from the selection. Well, we have actually described all the options and all the recommendations. Another possibility that we have is the possibility to make additional bets. Here, you see an extensive block of additional bets. Now, I'm not going to describe them here. They are specific to each particular sport. You can bet on an additional spread, additional money line, change the value of the spread, and so on and so on. Next, I'll tell you about the functional buttons of Trend Builder. Orange Process button runs the actual trend based on the conditions that we set above. I press the button and the processing starts. Here, you can see the results. In the little yellow window on the right, you can see now the profit, the graph of this trend, as well as some statistical data. Just below, you can see the detailed table of bets showing what you bet on, the coefficient, the bet, whether it is won or lost, and the current profit. Depending on the settings, either a complete table or its part is displayed. Below the table, you can see the net profit graph as well as seasonal profit graphs. Next come the tables showing the statistics from different angles. Let's return back to the buttons. The button Edit and Share Settings. Here, we can copy our code of the trend into the clipboard or insert the code we've obtained from somebody else. Also, we can send the code directly from here to Zlab to be automated in the form of a signal page. We can also download a code of a new trend. It is loaded now, and we can immediately run it. You can also open the results of the trend in a separate window and export it to Excel or CSV. Zcodesystem contains a large number of the so-called user signal pages. Each of those pages has a set of trends that have been made by users. For example, we can take a look at the signal page of Zcodesystem. In the beginning, you can see active signals. That's the signals for today. Next come the net profit graph, and then again, seasonal graphs and the statistics presented in different aspects. In addition, there are bookmarks where you can view the current status of each trend at this point in time. There are quite a large number of such pages. A list of them can be viewed on the page of Zlab. And in the left column, we have a list of the signal systems. Each signal system contains a number of trends. Some trends might be better, some might be worse. The Zlab system automatically accounts the profitability of the trends. The top trends are shown on the page of top trends. Here is the page. You can see the name of the trend, the name of the system, the graphs, and the profit. It's exactly this list of top trends which is shown in the selection list of Trend Builder. Here, we can choose whichever trend we like and download it just by clicking on it. Well, it is loaded now, and we can run it. As you see, the trend is running now, so in this way you can download a popular trend and then try to modify and improve it. Well, the trend is ready now. Here you can see the graph and the statistics. Now we can try to somewhat improve it. Just select some different options and run it again. In conclusion, I want to say that Trend Builder is a unique tool. Many members of the VIP Club use it to develop their own winning strategies. Start using it. You'll get exactly what you need for successful and profitable sports investing. Thank you, and good luck.